Last time, I met Flappy Bird inside the terminal, and that already felt pretty cursed. But then I had one very dangerous thought. If the terminal can run a game, can it also play a full YouTube video? Not just open the browser, not just print a link. I mean actually take a real video, turn every frame into colored text, and play it directly inside a Windows terminal. So today, I'm going to turn the terminal into the worst YouTube player ever made. But there is one problem. A terminal doesn't have pixels, it has characters. So if I want to play a video here, I need to rebuild every frame using symbols. And somehow, every symbol also needs to have the correct color. So basically I'm not making a video player, I'm making a tiny rendering engine inside the terminal, which sounds like a completely normal thing to do. The plan was simple. First, I need to turn the terminal into a screen. Then I need to display one image inside it. Then I need to display multiple images one after another. And if that works, I can use FFmpeg to split a real video into frames. After that, I can use YTDLP to download a YouTube video. And finally, if everything doesn't explode, I'll add audio. So the final version should work like this. I launch the program, pass a YouTube link, it downloads the video, extracts the frames, converts them into colored ASCII, and plays the result directly inside the terminal. Sounds easy, which means it definitely won't be easy. The first step was making the terminal behave like a screen. Normally, if you want to update the console, you might just clear everything and print again. But if I do that 30 times per second, the whole thing starts flickering like a cursed PowerPoint presentation. So instead of clearing the screen every frame, I moved the cursor back to the top left corner and overwrote the previous frame. This means that the terminal keeps the same window, and I just replaced the content. It's not perfect, but it's much smoother than clearing everything. At this point, I didn't want to throw everything into a one giant program CS file, because this project could easily turn into spaghetti. So I made a small structure. A frame store screens frames, a renderer draws frames, and the player just asks for the next frame and displays it. For the first test, I generated a fake wave animation with symbols and colors. No images yet, no videos, just a moving terminal pattern. And somehow it actually worked. At this point, the terminal was officially a screen. A very bad screen, but still a screen. Now I need to render an actual image. The idea was simple. For every position in the terminal, I sample one pixel from the image. Then I calculate how bright that pixel is. Dark pixel means small symbol. Bright pixel means heavy symbol. Something like this. Space dot dash equals star hash % at sign. But brightness is only half of it, because I also wanted color. So every character gets an RGB color from the original pixel. That means the terminal is not just drawing ASCII, it's drawing colored ASCII. So I loaded a test image, converted it into terminal cells, and started the program. And the result was technically correct, but visually terrible. The image appeared as this tiny cinematic strip in the middle of the terminal, which was not exactly the YouTube terminal experience I was hoping for. The problem was aspect ratio. The terminal character is not a square pixel, it's usually taller than it is wide. So if I just resize the image normally, everything gets squashed. I had to add 2 scaling mods. Fit mode shows the whole image, but it can leave huge empty spaces. Cover mode fills the whole terminal, but it crops the edges a little bit. For videos, cover is much better, because I don't want a tiny postcard in the center of the screen. I want the terminal to feel like the screen. After switching to cover mode, the image finally filled the terminal, and this was the first moment where it actually looked cool. Still not video, but now the terminal could display a real image. And video is just a lot of images played really fast. So the next step was obvious. Instead of showing one image, I created a folder with multiple images. Frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. And the program simply displayed them one by one. This was the first fake video test. At first, I loaded each image from this while playing. And it worked, but it was slow. Because every frame had to be loaded, resized, converted into ASCII, colored, and then drawn. All while the video was supposed to be played, which is not exactly efficient. So I added a cache. Before playback starts, the program converts all image frames into terminal frames. Then, during playback, it only has to display already prepared frame, but this made playback much smoother. This is also where I added one safety limit, because if I accidentally load 10,000 frames into memory, my computer will probably start playing Bad Apple in real life. So for now, I limited the test to a few hundred frames. Enough for a sharp preview, enough for the video, not enough to destroy my RAM, probably. Now I had a player that could display a folder of image, but manually preparing frames is not very YouTube-like. So the next goal was to give the program a normal video file, like this, input.mp4, and let FFmpeg turn it into frames automatically. FFmpeg is basically the magic tool that can do anything with video. I only needed one thing from it: take this video, extract 12 frames per second, save them as a JPG file, so now the program does this automatically. First it calls FFmpeg, then FFmpeg creates a folder full of frames, then my terminal renderer converts those frames into colored ASCII, and then the terminal places them. This was the first time the project started to feel like a real video player. I gave it a normal MP4 file, and a few seconds later, the terminal started playing it. It was low FPS, it was made out of symbols, it was probably offensive to every video engineer alive, but it worked. And honestly, this is already the point where I could have stopped. But the title of the video is not "I played a local MP4 inside the terminal." The title is "I turned the Windows terminal into YouTube." So I needed actual YouTube links. For the loading videos, I used YTDLP. The idea was simple. When the program starts, it asks for a YouTube URL. If I pass the link, YTDLP downloads the video. If I press enter without a link, it just uses my local test video. This made testing much easier, because I didn't want to download a YouTube video every single time while debugging. Now the workflow was launch the app, pass the link, download the video, extract frames, convert frames, play. And after adding this, I finally had the cursed version of YouTube I wanted. A real YouTube video downloaded from the internet, split into hundreds of frames, converted into color symbols, and displayed inside the terminal. At this point, I had one big realization: the quality of the video doesn't depend on Full HD or 4K anymore, because the terminal doesn't care. The real resolution is the size of the terminal window in characters. For example, if my terminal is 120 by 40 characters, that's only 4800 cells. That's nothing. But if I make the font smaller and go full screen, suddenly I can fit way more characters, and the video looks much better. So technically, the secret to high quality terminal YouTube is making the text painfully small, beautiful. I tried lowering the Windows terminal font size. At size 8, the video looked much better. At size 4, the quality became insane. But then I hit a new problem. The terminal itself could not keep up. It started drawing the frame line by line. And this makes sense, because every frame contains thousands of characters, and every character can have its own RGB color. So the terminal receives a giant wall of ANSI color codes. Something like set color print symbol thousands of times per frame. At 12 frames per second, Windows Terminal was basically begging for mercy. So I optimized the render a little bit. First, I stopped using the last column of the terminal, because that can trigger the line wrapping and scrolling. Then I started writing a new color code if the color didn't actually change. And finally, I rounded the color slightly. So instead of using millions of possible RGB values, I used fewer similar colors. Visually, it still looks almost the same, but the terminal has less work to do. This didn't make it perfect, but it made it much more usable. And for recording, font size 8 felt like the best balance. Small enough to look good, large enough that the Windows Terminal doesn't completely give up. At this point, the project looked cool, but it had one big problem: it was silent. I didn't want to build a real audio engine in C# for this project. That would be too much. So I used the simplest reliable solution. FFmpeg extracts the audio from the video into a WAV file. Then FFplay plays that audio file my terminal plays the video. It's not the cleanest media architecture ever, but it works. And honestly, for a terminal YouTube player, that's already more than enough. The first version started the audio, then started drawing frames, and it worked, mostly. But there was a synchronization issue. If the terminal was too slow, the video will fall behind the audio, because the player was doing this: show frame 1, sleep, show frame 2, sleep. But if rendering one frame takes too long, everything starts drifting, so I changed the playback logic. Instead of asking what is the next frame, the player now asks what frame should be visible right now. If 2 seconds have passed and the video is 12 FPS, then it should show frame 24. If the terminal is too slow, it skips frames instead of falling behind. This makes it feel much more like a real player. Not perfect, but much better. And now the audio and video can stay reasonably close together, which is a very funny sentence to say about the terminal. Then I found one of the funniest bugs in the whole project. When I pressed escape, everything stopped correctly. The video stopped, the audio stops. Great. But when I closed the terminal window with the cross button, the terminal disappeared, the video disappeared, but the audio kept playing. So now I had invisible YouTube, which is not what I was trying to build. The reason was simple. Audio was playing in a separate FFmpeg process, and when the terminal window closed, my csharp program didn't always get a chance to clean it up. So FFmpeg survived, like a ghost. The fix was to attach FFmpeg to my process using a window job object. Basically, I tell Windows, this child process belongs to my app. If my app dies, kill it too. After that, closing the terminal I also killed the audio, which is good, because I don't want to accidentally create a haunted media player. Now it was time for the final test. The program launched, I passed the YouTube link, YTDLP downloads the video, FFmpeg extracts the frames, extracts the audio, the app converts the frame into terminal format, and then it plays. Inside the terminal, with color, with sound, with real YouTube input. This is not a good way to watch YouTube. This is probably one of the worst ways to watch YouTube. The resolution depends on your font size, the FPS is limited by how fast the terminal can draw text. And if you try to play something too detailed, it turns into colorful soap. But that's exactly why I like it, because technically it works. The Windows terminal is now a YouTube player. A terrible one, but still a YouTube player. And of course, there was only one proper final test. Bad Apple. Because if your weird display technology can play Bad Apple, it is officially real. And honestly, this worked way better than I expected, because Bad Apple has strong contrast, simple shapes, and a lot of movement, which makes it perfect for ASCII. So after all this work, the terminal can play YouTube videos, it can play local videos, it can play audio, and it can play a Bad Apple, which means that this project is complete, and also completely unnecessary. So yeah, I turned the Windows terminal into YouTube, not because it should exist, but because I wanted to know if it could exist. And now I know. If you enjoyed this cursed coding experiment, subscribe. Because next time, I probably take another normal thing and force it to run somewhere it absolutely should not. And don't forget that, build some source code from my videos, you can find on Patreon. See you in the next video.